KCAA. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a child of God, a husband, NRA conservative, radical right-wing supervillain, and Twitter rock star. American by birth, Texan by choice, and a badass by nature. He's the owner of TomO'Halloran.com, O'HalloranMedia.com, and PatriotRadio.net. Please welcome Tom O'Halloran.
Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Patriot Radio with Tom O'Halloran. I am your host, Tom O'Halloran, broadcasting deep from an underground bunker in Arkansas, Nebraska, to educate, irritate, and agitate. And friends, if you're not agitated by the time this hour's over, you just need to crank the volume up because you ain't hearing me. If you'd like to join the conversation tonight, call in at 888-909-1050. If you'd like to listen on your phone, dial 832-999-1050. You can also listen with a live stream on your computer at patriotradioshow.com. Again, my name's Tom O'Halloran. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at TPO_hisself. You can find my main blog at TomO'Halloran.com. And when you get there, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Spreaker, and any other social media you like. Also, while there, please follow Veronica Coffin, who's my editor and does a lot of the heavy lifting on my websites these days. You can find her buttons at the bottom of each post. I had a night last night because of the election, but we're back. Please be sure to catch Patriot Radio every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On Friday nights at 7, again, that's Pacific Standard Time, I do Jihad on America with Tom O'Halloran. This show will, on a weekly basis, cover the Islamists in America, who they are, what they want, and why you should be afraid. Now, if you've not caught my show on the Muslim Brotherhood or my show on Jihad on America, Islam is not a religion, please find your way to PatriotRadioshow.com and watch those before you start watching the weekly series. It'll provide a great foundation for what we build on each week. And on Friday nights, we cover what's happening in the Islamists' world, both here and abroad. And we cover the abroad stories because what's happening right now in Europe is a preview of what's going to happen here if we don't wake up, draw a line in the sand, and not let Obama continue to do the carrying the water for the Islamists here in America. We've got to stop them growing, stop them spreading their ways before they take over like they're doing in Europe. We've got a few stories to cover tonight, not as many as we sometimes do because the Sergeant Bergdahl story is such a big thing right now. We're going to spend a great deal of time on that. A couple other stories. But before I get started, I'd like to thank my sponsor, noted author Colin Flaherty of White Girl Bleed a Lot, The Return of Racial Violence to America and How the Media Ignore It. Patriots, stay with me through the hour. I'm going to give away a free copy of this fabulous 400-page book right about the bottom of the hour when we come back from our second break. An excellent book. It'll open your eyes to things that you had no idea were happening. And it's been going on for quite some time now. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to give a quick rundown on the time table for Sergeant Bergdahl, or I should call him just Private Bergdahl because his promotions to specialist and then to sergeant were highly unearned. Bo Bergdahl was serving in Afghanistan, and on June 30th of 2009, he wandered off base. Not the first time he's done it, but this time he left. In the days preceding his departure, he had been mailing some books back home. I believe it was a laptop computer as well. Sent some clothes home. So his move was rather intentional. He wandered off base, and he knew a lot of the locals in the area. But rather than just going to a farmer and say, I'd like to just stay here and stay on the farm and get out of the army and just kind of hide and lay low. Now, he went through town asking people how to find his way to the Taliban. So he was in search of the bad guys, the people that have been killing his co-workers and fellow brother soldiers. On July 18th, Obama made remarks about his release from the Taliban forces. December of 2009, the Taliban releases a video of him talking. In exchange for the army to release him, the U.S. agreed to free 5 Taliban prisoners. This goes back a ways. It goes back to 2010, but was put on hold and then canceled. Long and short of it is, we come down to May 31st. He's released by the Taliban in exchange for 5 Taliban commanders. This has been likened to trading a traitor, and in order to get the traitor back, we're going to give up 5 five-star generals. Now, the recidivism rate for people in Guantanamo Bay has been pretty high. I believe it's about 27%. So for every 100 people we have locked up and we release them, about 27% of them will end up with a weapon in their hand back on the field fighting us. That's a pretty high rate. Seriously, when you figure each one of those 27 would have a gun pointed at one of our sons, brothers, or husbands. But what we're dealing with here are 5 top commanders. This is going to be 100%. I will bet you $100 that all 5 of these people will be back in the terrorism business probably within months. Now, where they were released, what they told Obama, or what he says they told him, they would be kept in custody in Qatar. Kept in custody. Well, the video showed them getting off the plane and getting a hero's welcome home. So they're getting hugs and arm braces and the real hero's welcome. So there's no custody there. Then the government of Qatar says they'll have the free run of the country. Well, the country's a lot of rough land, so they probably would have no way of knowing if these guys left the country for a week or a month or 6 months to go participate in some terrorism training or what have you. At any rate, we gave up a lot and we got very, very, very little in return. But that's rather par for the course for Obama's negotiating. Good news is that Haley, Idaho, has just canceled their hometown welcome back party and parade for Bo Bergdahl. Once they see that everybody that he's served with has called him a traitor and wants to see him spend the rest of his life in prison if at all possible. Former Army Specialist Josh Fuller told the media the other day that everybody knows this. Bergdahl deserted his post, and there was never anything about him being captured or POW until a little while later when he came down the chain of command that we're not going to upset the narrative. If this is what the president wants to say, then we're going to roll with it. So the attacks on the base where they stayed in the weeks right after Bergdahl's leaving became very accurate and precise. The soldiers said you could tell it was from somebody on the inside that had that information. So it looks like Bergdahl wasn't just going over there and saying, hey, I want to cross over, I want to be a Muslim, yada, 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 I don't want anything to do with the army. No, it looks like he's actually giving them information about where to drop the rockets to kill his fellow soldiers. Well, his fellow soldiers are obviously the Taliban. But pretty ugly stuff there. One last thing before we take our break to pay some bills. Chuck Hagel went over to Afghanistan yesterday and made a comment. This is a happy day. We've got one of our own. Now, he was introduced and he got a resounding applause from a bunch of career soldiers. Good, loud, hearty welcome to Afghanistan. Then he stands there and talks for about a minute and a half and says, we've got some great news today. This is a very happy day. We got one of ours back. The silence is deafening. They know Bergdahl is not one of theirs. Folks, stay with us. We're going to be right back. Going to pay some bills. We've got a lot more in the books for tonight, so we'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Guardian of our constitutional republic, founder of PatriotRadio.net, ladies and gentlemen, Tom O'Halloran.
Stuff your pockets while Rome is burning. I've got a feeling that the tide is turning. I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America.
And welcome back. Thanks for sticking around, Patriots. And when I say Patriots, I mean everybody. Everybody that loves America, or at least the America that once was. Everybody that wants America to be a stronger, more freedom-loving country. I'm not just talking to conservatives or the Tea Party group. I've got a lot of friends on the left, my misguided friends on the left, that are patriots, and I appreciate having you stay around with us as well. When Obama stood in front of the microphone the other day with Robert Bergdahl, this is turncoat Sergeant Bo Bergdahl's dad, who had long hair like a Muslim and a long beard like a Muslim. Robert Bergdahl stood up to the microphone, and his first words were, Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim. This is Arabic for in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Now, the basmala is the Islamic expression for victory and indicates that Sergeant Bergdahl's father is a Muslim, as I'm sure is his son. So basically, we traded one piece of crap Muslim American that deserted his brothers for 5 top-quality Muslim terrorists that want to go over there and kill more good, patriotic Americans. This is absolutely insane. There's no way in the world we should stand for it. There have already been calls. Colonel Alan West has, in the past, called Obama a liar and a disgrace, accused him of potential treason. And he's called now for an impeachment because Obama has broken his oath of office. Obama orchestrated the prisoner swap that provided material support to the Taliban by releasing 5 of the most dangerous guys in direct violation of the law. And if he was going to do it, he would have had to go through Congress first. But Obama doesn't care much for the Constitution, so like any Muslim, he ignores it. The law isn't very ambiguous about this. Anybody that provides material support to the enemy is guilty of treason. And Alan West says it's time that we step up and do something. Was also addressed claim to a national security advisor, Susan Rice. You can always tell if she's lying to us because her lips are moving. She claimed that Bergdahl served with honor and distinction. There's not one person in the Obama administration that would know what honor and a distinction mean. Desertion in a combat operation is a credible, punishable offense, and they're going to have to bring those charges up against Mr. Bergdahl, said Mr. Allen West. There is no way we can trust Susan Rice. She's a delusional liar, and that's about all you can say about her. So it's pretty much official. Barack Obama is a domestic enemy that must be impeached. Now, a few years back, there was a movie that came out called Wag the Dog. And if you remember it, well, if you don't remember it, there was a skilled political operative, that was Robert De Niro, and a famed movie producer, that would have been Dustin Hoffman. They devised a plan to stage a POW rescue because the president's sex scandal was getting ready to torpedo his re-election campaign. So they drum up this whole scheme. Let's go ahead and make something a little bit more newsworthy. So on a Saturday, the POW, which was Woody Harrelson, if you remember him from Cheers, the POW, Willie Schumann, was released, and he turned out to be a violent lunatic who loses control and causes a transport plane to crash en route to the photo op and the president. Dustin Hoffman sitting in the back of the car, he just says, "This is nothing." And that becomes the catchphrase throughout the entire movie. This is nothing. We can solve this. It's just a matter of spinning things and lying and saying things that aren't true. Well, on Saturday, Barack Obama, desperate to get a Veterans Affairs scandal off the front page for a week or two, announced that we were going to have the only remaining POW in Afghanistan war. Bo Bergdahl was coming home in exchange for 5 Taliban commanders, and was all joyful, and everybody was happy and elated that the VA scandal was coming off the thing. And it only took about 6 hours before things started falling apart. Even the left, the Senate, the Congress, people in the Democratic Party were complaining that Obama broke the law. He should have come to Congress first. You don't just release prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. These are terrorists, not just terrorists. These are the top level terrorists. These are the worst of the worst. Then it was, well, this is nothing. We'll spin that. No big deal. Then links started popping up on YouTube of the Muslim father, Bob Bergdahl, was pledging his allegiance to Islam, promising divine revenge for every Afghanistan baby that was killed. So the revenge has to be, he's praising Allah and praying for Allah to get revenge on our sons and fathers that may have killed some Afghanistan kids. What matters isn't that the same man the White House put in front of the presidential podium, Obama put him up there probably thinking he was Bo Bergdahl's father, yada, yada, yada. We'll stand him up here, we'll hug mom and dad, and we'll say it's a happy day. But when Robert Bergdahl uttered his praise of Allah at the White House podium, you need to look this up, folks. Go online and Google it. Go to YouTube and look it up. Robert Bergdahl, White House. When he says those words of praise to Allah, Obama beams. I haven't seen a smile like that since election night. He beams, oh, praise Allah. It's a conquest. It would have been very difficult for Obama to quote a praise for Allah. But this is the Islam way of saying we won. We won. We traded you a dirt bag for 5 top generals. And now we have our guy standing at your microphone. We own you. They got everything they wanted in that exchange. We got virtually nothing. So Obama sends Susan Rice. You remember her from Benghazi. Oh, it was just a video. There was nothing to it. There was nothing. Don't look behind the curtain, people. There was nothing going on. Has nothing to do with us, and we didn't make the video. 4 days into the evolving scandal, the ramifications became larger. It became rather obvious that he was a deserter. But it turns out Obama really doesn't care. His mission was to get rid of the Muslims that were in Guantanamo. He had been trying to do that for ages. For 2 years, he's been trying to get those guys traded off. Couldn't justify it. Couldn't justify it because Congress was complaining and blocking it because there was an election in the way. If he'd turned them loose, he wouldn't have gotten elected. If he turned them loose in 2010 or 11 like he was trying to, he would not have gotten reelected. But with the elections out of the way, it was open season. He can go ahead and do what he wants to do. He really doesn't care. In fact, Bill O'Reilly stated, I believe it was yesterday, that his inside source in the White House said that Obama really doesn't care about public opinion. There's nothing the public can do to him now. There's not enough time to impeach him. He doesn't have to run for another election. So he's just going to do what he wants to do. And from his very first speech in Egypt, after his initial election, he made it clear his loyalty was to the Muslims, to the people of the Islamic faith, and not to America. His disdain for the military is rather obvious. Now, it gets worse. It gets worse because there's another Muslim terrorist scumbag in Guantanamo Bay, and Obama's trying to go behind Congress yet again to get this guy released. Meanwhile, for the past 6 months, Obama has been working with the CIA and some back channel contacts to have secret meetings in Jordan, Egypt, and Qatar. Secret meetings with Hamas. Oh, this is not good. I told you last week when this first came up, America has shifted. We are no longer standing on the side of good. We used to represent all that was good and proud. We were righteous. We were not always right. Lord knows we've sided with some dirtbags, but we always tried to side with the right people. They may have turned bad later, which they often did, but we were never on the side of the bad guys. We are now. Awful stuff. I'll tell you about it when we come back from our break. A couple more bills to pay. Stay with us. Love having you around. I know you have a lot of choices at night, and I really appreciate you tuning the Patriot Radio Show in each week. So stick around. We're going to give away a book as soon as we get back. Thank you.
Sounds brutal. Hey, it's all good. Your superstation, AM 1050, News Talk KCAA.
Guardian of our constitutional republic, founder of PatriotRadio.net. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom O'Halloran.
Stuff your pockets while Rome is burning. I've got a feeling that the tide is turning. I am America. One voice, united we stand.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking around, Patriots. Before we get started with this segment, I'd like to give away a copy. My friend, noted author, columnist for WorldNet Daily, Colin Flaherty. His book, White Girl Bleed a Lot. It's #1 seller on Amazon and has been for months and months. The subtitle of this is The Return of Racial Violence to America and How the Media Ignore It. This is story after story after story of the black mob violence that's sweeping America. City after city, there's over 80 cities, over 300 stories. A great book. He doesn't put any judgment in it. He doesn't say why this is happening. He just reports the facts. And almost every story in it has a QR code, so you can scan it with your camera, with your smartphone, and it'll take you right to the internet, and you can see the video of the police coverage, if not of the actual mob violence going on. So it's a terrific book. If you'd like to be a owner of this book, please give a call in at 888-909-1050. Now picking up where we left off. Obama's been having back-channel conversations with Hamas. Now, Hamas is rather unambiguous. They are a terrorist organization. This has been declared. It's been certified. Hamas is the Harakat al-Muqawwa al-Islam. It's Arabic for the Islamic Resistance Movement, known by its acronym Hamas. It's a terrorist organization based in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and it was founded in 1987 as an outgrowth of the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, that is a terrorist organization. It has been declared as a terrorist organization by the United States Justice Department. There is absolutely no call for having any conversations with these. But in recent weeks, or in recent months actually, there's been a combined government being put together. It's Hamas, it's, I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. The coalition government is being put together of three different groups that each have some control in Palestine. And they're all going to be co-owners of this government. But the law states that we cannot provide any support whatsoever or even be in contact with anything to do with Hamas or any government that Hamas has their hand in. So meanwhile, Kerry and company are running around putting this coalition government together. The State Department is denying it. There's no such back channel. Our position on Hamas is not changed, says State Department Deputy Spokesman Marie Harf. It's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. It's going on. In 2012, Secretary of State Assistant Victoria Nuland said that the talks were not happening. People had gotten copies of meeting notes. And the Obama administration keeps saying that they're not happening. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority, President Mahmoud, just enacted this new government, and we are going to be giving money to support this new government. Now, Hamas, by its very nature, isn't just anti-Israel. It is in their charter. It is in the first paragraph of their charter to obliterate. We exist to obliterate Israel. We want to kill all the Jews. Okay? Can't be said much plainer than that. It is our mission to kill all the Jews. Not the old Jews, not the men Jews, not the women Jews, but all the Jews. And this organization is part of the government that is now controlling all of what is known as Palestine. And we are going to be providing funding to support this government, just like we were the government before it. And this is absolutely illegal. It's against the federal law. The government, American government, has prosecuted people that have done this, that have given moral support to Hamas. The federal government has convicted numerous people in the United States for providing material support. Not only is the new law explicit, the government has made a compelling case that Hamas is dedicated to violent jihad. There is no way that this can be done without somebody going to jail. if we give any money at all to this government, then somebody has to go to jail, whether it's Kerry, whether it's Obama. It's absolutely insane. We're funneling right now. It's for the last several years. It's $400 million a year going to the Palestinian government. Now we knew that some of that was finding its way to Hamas to buy rockets to shoot into Israel and stuff like that. But this is going directly into hands of Hamas, and it's criminal. It's criminal, and it has to come to a stop. Somebody has to step up. Hopefully, Congress will find a pair, and we can get this stopped. Next up, we've got Eric Holder starting a new task force. This ought to be good, right? So here we are. Islamist organizations in the United States, i.e. terrorists, and you've got your terrorists like B teams, training camps and stuff. They've grown over the last 3 years by 50%. Growth in numbers in Islamists, 50% over the last 3 years. And why not? It's obvious that Obama isn't intent on stopping them. They're allowed to come and go as they like. He gives Muslim Brotherhood representatives jobs in the White House, appoints them advisors to the FBI so that they can find anything that Muslims don't want in the training materials. And Obama acknowledges it and has it removed from the training materials. So all this is going on. He's letting it happen. He's giving them good jobs. Last week I mentioned a group of Muslim Brotherhood contingent that came into the country, and they were given a free pass. Don't search their bags. We're going to treat them like diplomats. Don't check their passports. Don't stamp their passports. Don't check their bags. They're free to come and go as they want. What the heck is going on? These are terrorists. These are the dirtbags that flew planes into our buildings and killed our families. It's insane. But Eric Holder's not really concerned about that. He is going to disassemble a large part of the investigative team that has been looking into Islamist activity, and he's going to refocus it on homegrown type attacks, people with other motives for attacks within the borders. He says we must also concern ourselves with the continued danger that we face from individuals within our own borders who may be motivated by other causes, from anti-government feelings or racial prejudice. Well, okay, no, wait. Racial prejudice. I can get behind this one. So he's going to go after the black gang violence that's going around beating up on innocent white people? No, wait a minute. No. We know he's not going to do that because one of his own people resigned from the Department of Justice because they weren't going to handle black on white crime. They were told to focus on white on black crime. So we know it's not that. So apparently he's going to focus on people that are, talking anti-Islam or anti-black. We can't talk about black crime now without getting a knock on the door from the Department of Justice. I'm going to have my own helicopter. One day you guys will tune in for my show and I won't be here. I'll be in a retraining camp somewhere, being taught how helpful and loving and what good people Muslims are, even though it's their mission to kill all non-Muslims. So he's refocusing this whole thing onto homegrown threats. Homegrown threats. Last October, Army troops at Mississippi's Camp Shelby alerted the media after a new training course labeled the American Family Association. Now, this is a mainstream Christian ministry. Their course labeled it as a domestic hate group, like the KKK. A separate briefing told officers to keep an eye on troops that supported such groups. as they were a domestic terror threat. Our own military being a domestic terror threat. In the same month, soldiers at Fort Hood were told that Christians, Tea Party supporters, anti-abortion activists were a major threat as well. Soldiers were told that support for such groups could result in disciplinary action under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. A DoD training manual obtained by conservative watchdog Judicial Watch listed supporters of individual liberties as likely extremists. The manual also avoided personnel to avoid participation and fundraising in such groups. 2012 article in Forbes went so far as to explain how the U.S. military would crush a Tea Party rebellion. Let me repeat that. The U.S. military would crush a Tea Party rebellion. This is insane, folks. Some bills to pay. Stay with us. We'll be coming right back.
Southern California's Inland Talk Express is KCAA News Talk 1050.
Tom O'Halloran.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
And welcome back. I do appreciate you sticking around. Next thing I want to talk about, it's kind of an old scandal, but it's just got a new article in the paper the other day. Many years ago, the Department of Agriculture was accused of having racist tendencies and denying program services for black farmers. Lawsuits were filed. Lawsuit was actually won, but rather than the people that were actually hurt, that were actually denied the programs getting the money, the lawsuit was broadened and widened and widened. The New York Times did a lot of research on this. Andrew Breitbart was one of his last major investigations. But the USDA had enabled a massive payback scheme. The cost of the settlements could exceed $4.4 billion. Now, among the influential members of Congress that enabled this was Senator Barack Obama, who made the Pigford payouts a priority in exchange for political support for his presidential campaign in 2008. Now, you can't buy votes, but you can make it real easy to get $50,000 if you're black, and then obviously you'll want to vote for the guy that allowed this for you. So basically all you had to do was be black and fill out this form. Didn't even have to have a farm. If you had a yard, that qualified. And they had people going through churches all through the South, going through black churches, community groups, telling people it's so easy. It's so easy. Almost anybody can qualify. And a family of 5, everybody in it could get money. As it got close to being rolled out, again, the numbers had soared way up in numbers to $4.4 billion. The left, led by George Soros, tried to dismiss claims of fraud in Pigford. Breitbart was investigating it, and they were trying to shut him down, saying, it's crap. It's all legitimate. It's all legitimate. But it was very well proven that the whole Pigford scandal was just to buy votes. Obama wanted to get votes from all the black people in the country if he could. He went through, his people went through the South. Just fill out this form, and that's basically all it was. The number of unsuccessful claimants exceeded in one in 16 different zip codes in Alabama, there it is, and Alabama, Mississippi, and North Carolina, in 16 different zip codes, the number of successful claimants exceeded the total number of farms operated by people of any race. So this is basically like voting for Obama. There are many districts where there were more votes for Obama than people that actually lived in the entire county. And that's what happened with this. Some people received nearly $100 million. It was expanded. Senator Bob Menendez threatened to hold protests and raise all kinds of noise of what was going on if Obama didn't include Hispanics as well. So now, even though you weren't a farmer and you're now Mexican, you can fill out the form and you can get votes too. So I'm sure Menendez managed to scam some votes off the people for that as well. Nearly 1 in 2 black residents in Brinkley, Arkansas. That's 50% of the citizens, 50% of the black citizens got money under this payout. And yet, there were never, ever more than 49 black farmers in all. That's a total of 1,933 black residents of Berkeley that year. 1,900 people got reparations, payments for being black, if you will, from Barack Obama. 1,900 people got payments of $50,000 or more for being black, when the entire total of black farmers at the time this was going on was 49. It's criminal. $400 million of taxpayer dollars went to that, and it was something that Barack Obama, as a senator, pushed through, sponsored the bill, and stayed on top of to make sure it went through. The man is a criminal. He's anti-American. He's the number one racist that I think has ever lived in the United States of America. And he needs to be indicted, convicted, and locked up for the rest of his natural-born life. Folks, I get asked on almost a daily basis, what can I do? I read what you put on the internet. I listen to your radio show. I learn a lot from listening to you. But what can I do to make a difference? Well, there's a lot you can do. One of the easiest things you can do to make a difference is find a website that you like, that you get information from. Let's take my website. My main website is tomohalloran.com. Now, we post 10 to 15 columns a day there. This site has been up for 26 months now, and we have over 7,200 stories on the website. We work real hard to bring you good, fresh, reliable information. Take a look through the website. Find 2 articles for that day. Post them to Facebook. Send links on Twitter. Send them through email. Print the article out and put it on the bulletin board at work or at the grocery store. Now, if you look at the very top of the website, you'll see a menu bar with another 12 websites. I've got a website for my Friday night show, Jihad on America. I've got one on Hillary Clinton, one on the gay activist agenda, one on gun-free zones, tyranny's response team, voter fraud. Pick another 1 or 2 websites. Find 2 more stories. Post those out. We post a ton of information every week. And with 140,000 followers on Twitter, I have a lot of readers. But if only 10% of them would post 2 to 4 articles a day, and then if 10% of the people that read those would post 2 to 4 articles a day, the number of people waking up to what's going on in this country would grow exponentially. How many of you listening to this show tonight were even aware of the Pigford scandal? $400 million of taxpayer money being poured down the drain and given away to people just because they were black. We search these stories out and we bring them to you on a daily basis. So whether you use my websites or whether you use someone else's, get involved. Share the articles that you find to be informative. Let others know that you care, that you're paying attention, and that you're trying to make a difference. It's not too late to turn our country back around and get her back on track. But at this point in the fight, you're either helping or you're part of the problem. Now it's time to take the gloves off and fight for what you believe in. There's a lot of people out there intent on destroying America. Barack Obama, hundreds of thousands of other Muslims intent on destroying America, other leftist progressives, people in the country, people out of the country. But we either engage the enemy or we accept that we're willing to turn a much, much weaker America over to our kids and our grandkids. Patriots, be sure to tune in Friday night for my radio show, Jihad on America. I will tell you what's going on with the world of Islam like nobody else will or has. In the meantime, go to patriotradioshow.com. In particular, listen to the show on the Muslim Brotherhood and the one, Islam is not a religion. I promise you, you've never heard anything like either of these two shows. I tell it like it is. I give it to you straight. I'll see you on Friday for more Jihad on America. Good night, America. God bless you and yours. This is Tom O'Halloran. Out.